Good evening. This is Policy Review Committee meeting for May the 6th, 2024. Rob, I guess we're going to begin with Policy 626.
Yes, this evening we have four different policies to review. The first one on there is Policy 626. After you're on the board for a few years, you're going to see this one come up every year. Basically, they changed the procurement requirements for when you're making purchases with federal dollars. This is to update our policy. Our policy is a little bit out of date right now. This generally comes up every May or every June. If you take a look at Policy 626, on the back, I printed out for you the attachments you can see for procurement. And if you go to the second page of procurement, you can see that it has changed the amounts that we can do for certain things, whether it's a micro purchase, whether it's a small purchase. For micro purchase was changed to 11,800. Small purchase, the upper end was changed to 23,200. And for sealed bids, 23,200. And basically it changes what we have to do. We want to buy something with federal dollars. And so that it's in compliance and when our monitors come in, against that. Because they look at this kind of stuff. I assume there's no problem with that as a
Anybody have problems with that? Val? It's going to keep you up at night. Jimmy, do you have anything to say? Okay. All right. Thanks, Rob. I guess we'll go to Policy 254.
Okay, the next two policies are basically updating policies, and they deal with military affairs. They shouldn't be too controversial. Policy 254, if you turn to the second page of your package, what you're going to see, I put a check mark in there for what uniform services is. Basically, they get some preferential treatment in terms of when you think of things like enrollments, things of that nature. We try to work with military families, which we already do, by the way, and this just codifies this, so it's in there. And actually, the major update from us for Daniel Boone is that we have a Space Force now put in there instead of, which is relatively new. But we take care of the military families when they do come in. We let them enroll right away if they don't have all the documentation, things of that nature. And you can see the different things under advanced enrollments. That stuff is not new for military families for Daniel Boone. So it's an updated this policy.
Okay, and then again, I didn't ask you for the first one, but did mark these as first reading?
Yes, if the board's okay with that, which I would assume that's not controversial.
Val gave us the thumbs up. We're good. I'm not asking Jimmy anymore. Okay, so moving on to Policy 217. Are you awake over there, Jimmy?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, Policy 217, graduation.
And Policy 217, again, what we're trying to do is just help out military families again. So I assume this is not controversial for everyone. If you turn to page 2, it's basically stating that we will provide supports to military children to help facilitate on-time graduation for them. So if they have to move out or something like that effect, we're going to try to work with the families and not be very rigid. It just prevents any principal or anyone else being super never know. Those types of things. We did check. There are other things, and Pasco had this in here as possible things to check. But if you see the X marks, I put them in there. It's basically if someone comes back to Daniel Boone and they were a student and they left early to fight in the Korean War, and they come back to us and they ask for a diploma or Vietnam or any of those things. Work with them and try to get them a diploma, assuming they left early, and we're not going to have those records over at the old Abbey building, those types of things. So if someone does come back, we'll work with them again. That's really what it's saying. Non-controversial, just updating these policies.
Okay, Val has a question.
I have a question.
Sure.
For these students that are considered part-time, is that like anybody enrolled in PCTC? Like part-time and then, or is it just part-time? This is listed right here. part-time students who may qualify for graduation by attending a district school part-time. What is that requirement? What does part-time look like?
All right, give me 1 second, let me find the spot.
It's page
Page 2.
Page 2, second paragraph. Worse again. It's written.
It says, a student may qualify for graduation by attending a district school part-time or lawfully employed part-time or when officially enrolled part-time in a post-secondary institution.
Sometimes when we have kids who are too enrolled, and basically what it's saying is we work with military families in regards to that. So for graduation, that's what we do.
Are you enrolled at a university?
They can be, yes, we've had that. Yes.
Okay.
We're basically cooperating with military families. For people going into the military.
Anybody else have a question about that? Okay. Okay, moving on. Is it policy 202, eligibility for non-resident students?
Okay, there's a couple things in here. This policy always comes up under authority, and this is our current practice. If you notice, there's X marks where it says the board may permit the admission of non-resident students in accordance. There's been some modifications with law and board policy. Hasbro, the School Boards Association, recommends we added that text in there. I don't think it's a big deal, but they wanted that in there, so we try to follow the guidance on that. If you notice right below that, we also have it checked. The board shall not be responsible for transportation for any student, for any non-resident student residing outside the school district boundaries except in accordance with law and board policy. And you can see that the dark area ones are the ones where that is a change. With non-resident students, we do, if you turn the page over just to kind of get, you can see this, go down, has a military clause on page 2, it looks like. That's also in there. And then underneath there, we've added some text that's in bold there that deals with documentation to kind of firm that up. These are, the stuff in bold is ASBO's recommendations. If you do know, if you go down further, we do allow in our district historically non-resident students to enroll. So I have a check mark next to prospective residents. A student is eligible for attendance. If a parent has a contract to buy or rent a place, we allow them to enroll 60 days early. That usually happens at the beginning of the school year. We always have them. Not a big deal as long as they can show us the documentation that we need to have. We don't have any issues with that. They will ultimately have to pay tuition if they don't enroll or they don't come to the district or they don't establish permanent residencies. The last one, and it's checked also, it goes under former residents. And this is more, there's not a real change here, but just be aware that we do allow people who move out in the second half of the school year to request the superintendent to remain here to finish out the academic year. And that's set in the second half of the school year. But they have to request, they can't just sneak them in here, and so that's in there also. Some of this is not changes to stuff in bold. You'll see our changes that is in there.
All right, anybody have any questions?
Yeah. Rich, if the student is a senior, and let's say their families are relocating, do you allow them to stay if they choose to travel and then move in?
And that is, we allow them basically 60 days, or excuse me, the two market periods after the school year. January 1st is our cutoff date as a school district. Different, and I will tell you, different districts, some districts allow seniors to finish like the whole senior year if they want to. Our district, historically, a previous board chose that because keep in mind when you, how do I say this? When you do that, you're also on the hook financially for that student, say it's a special education student, and then
exactly.
they sue us down the road. So they tightened that window a little bit, and because the neighboring district was one of the for 6 figures or something. So that's why we decided, we're deciding to take
That's exactly what I was asking,
Yeah.
awesome, thanks.
Yep. We do allow a little flexibility, obviously, if they start, that's what we have to have. And just so everyone knows, for those that are doing the board, you can look, these go on and you have to go through first reading, second reading, and then they're voted on. So you can take a look, because I know we move through these relatively quickly. If you see something, we can always change it, or the whole board can always change something if they want to make modifications. Just all the way up until the voting.
Okay.
But this is kind of like the backbone of the district, but make sure everything works, so it is important.
All right, Rob, I think that concludes it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions? Okay. Jimmy has none. So that concludes our policy committee meeting on May the 6th. Thank you.